Okay, so I'm going to kick it off. Let me go back to Winter OR. Was it 2015 when the CEO pledge was announced around with Camber Outdoors and getting more women in leadership in the outdoors. And at that time, REI took that pledge very seriously back into our own house, into an internal body of work, where we determined to look at gender equity along every point of our business, from product to the people that we employ, to our events, experiences, our offerings. And we spent about a year really digging in and understanding where we were strong and where we had gaps. Fast forward out of that body of work, the team, we had a cross-functional team working on it, said, you know, we think this is a conversation which is needs the audience. It's something that we want to involve the broader community in, not just the outdoor community, but beyond the outdoor community, what is gender equity in the relationships for women in the outdoors? And so about a year ago, in spring of 2017, we launched this effort called Force of Nature. We definitely do not talk about it as a marketing campaign. It's a body of work. You'll see that it has many touch points, and there is still a body of work which will continue until the work is done. And we think, right, that's going to take some time. So this is just introing to it. We found a direct relationship in some work that we did around the compression that women were telling us they feel to conform and the liberation that they feel when they're outdoors. And this became a very central theme to all the work that we did. We have 4 pillars to this work, and then we brought in our employees, which created sort of this 5th holistic approach. We attribute the success of Force of Nature in large part to the fact that we think it was such a comprehensive body of work. So number 1, we said we want to change the narrative of women in the outdoors. We did an internal audit of our own creative, and then we audited all the magazines that REI sells, and we did the math on how often women were represented. Forget about how they were represented, like who was represented, just did they show up? We weren't very happy with that. We said we think that we can really make progress in this area. Creating community through events and experiences. In our insights work, we heard from women that they want to recreate with other women. They're looking for other women to do outdoors with. Sometimes they're the only woman in their crew of guy friends, and sometimes that's okay, but they were seeking that community, and this is an area based on what we do that we thought we could really make impact. Closing the gear gap. Let me just go back to that because I'm not going to go through in depth the work of each of these pillars. But for creating community through events and experiences, just in 2017, we had 45,000 women go through experiences that we designed for women. And we had many, many women on wait lists. So we really hit a nerve with that community piece. We also launched Outessa. We're moving into our 3rd year of these women's only weekends, which have proved to be pretty magical in terms of community and outdoor experience. So closing the gear gap, I'm preaching to the choir probably for the people who are here in this audience, but in terms of breadth and depth of gear, men win. And that's something that we want to fix, and we know that we're going to need our partners to do that. And so we set about some commitments to close the gear gap over time. Investing in creating opportunities. So for the first time ever, we actually issued an open call. We granted in total over $1 million to organizations who are using the outdoors as platform for women and girls. And these ranged from a women's prison program, garden program in California, to a water program in the Bronx. We saw an incredible range of the kinds of way in which the outdoors are a platform. And these are beyond, we did open call because we know the organizations we already partner with. We were looking for like what new and innovative ways the outdoors could be used for women and girls. And developing our people and culture, because you've got to do it inside out, and we think this was really critical to success. We've done sort of some analysis of why we think we've gotten great traction with Force of Nature. We're going to go in depth about one area where we have a lot more work to do, and happy afterwards to talk about areas that we think we were less strong. One is having a big idea, though. This cross-functional team that I mentioned eventually came to this idea of actualizing the outdoors as the world's largest level playing field. We all know and share a passion that the outdoors is a place for all, that because it is not constructed by man, it can't be owned by humans, and to the extent that we've created barriers for people, we can take those down. They're not inherent in the outdoors. That's a very powerful idea. Informed insights and research. We talked to our consumer panel. We did focus groups across the country, and we did a large national survey talking to women nationally represented by race, by geography, about their relationship to the outdoors. Not just women who are in the industry, but your everyday woman. How do you feel about it? And that's where we found this really powerful intersection between women's pressure to conform, like I should be thinner, I should be smarter, I should be married, I should have kids, I should, and the feeling of liberation they had from those when they were outside came directly from that research. And we think having that level of specificity really enabled us to talk to our members and our consumers in a very relevant way. Credibility and authenticity. We have many women leaders inside REI on our board of directors, leading parts of the business, and we felt like this is very important because when you speak on a topic, people will want to know that you have some credibility, authenticity, and we have some time in the game with regard to our own women's leadership footprint. Intersectionality, we could spend the whole time talking about this, but it was very important at the outset that we said we are not going to affirm stereotypes about women in the outdoors. So like shout out to my beautiful blonde, lovely, white yoga women in the outdoors, but we said we are also going to show women of color, women across size spectrum, women across gender expression continuum, that women are everything really but men. Thank you, I love it, a little bit of love. And this intersectionality is very important. So you will see from the beginning all the way through our content, through our influencers, our media partnerships, this intersectionality represented. And we feel like this is a very important opportunity when we talk about gender to talk about the full spectrum of diversity. And so that from the get-go was a principle. Unwavering commitment and the idea that we had a moment in time. You have to imagine that when we had determined to launch Force of Nature in the spring of 2017, we did all the work in 2016. We were in the midst of a presidential election. We anticipated one kind of moment in time for gender empowerment, women moving into 2017, and we found ourselves in a very different moment. And it was very important that we had this commitment from our leaders to say, we are now stepping into a different kind of gender conversation. Do we have the fortitude and the backbone to stay the course, tell the stories, assume whatever criticism might come our way, potentially risk thinking that like maybe we're just jumping on a bandwagon of femertizing, when actually this work had depth and had been in play, and our leadership was incredible, including our board of directors. So right message, right time, the events and experiences. Employee evangelists, we did almost a year's worth of work getting employees ready, educating employees on what gender intelligence means, why we're talking about this. I think it's easy if you work around a lot of great women to say, what's the problem, right? So to be able to actually demonstrate the gap in terms of representation, the gap in terms of gear, looking at technical parts of the business, the stories that we tell. So really bringing our employees along who ended up carrying this message across our 150 stores and 13,000 employees. It was incredible. Also the men. I mean, we did a whole body of work on what it means to be an ally. And so we said this is like a thing that we're going to do together, and we had men on the steering and work committee of this effort as well. Investment, there's some put your money where your mouth is, like we're not just going to make money, although that's lovely, and I'm not going to hate on making money because that's why we're all here. Partnerships, incredible partnerships with organizations from content to organizational partnerships with people like Hike It Baby or Outdoor Afro or Now This, Now Her on the media side. So really like how do we broaden our scope? And then the total takeover, which I just want to spend a minute talking about because this for us felt like potentially part of our biggest risk and idea, where we said, what if for the duration of this launch, which was almost a year, we only showed women. And I remember, I'm telling you, the day that the team pitched this idea to our creative team, including our CEO, and I remember thinking, this is a bad idea. Not a bad idea because it's not a good idea, but a bad idea because it feels very dramatic for an organization who's very committed to men, sells great men's products, has slightly more than half of our workforce is men, that we are only going to feature women front and center for almost an entire year. And that team was completely on board, and that's what we set about doing. And that means internally and externally. So when you went to our website, when you got a catalog, if you saw a man, it's because we had commitments to vendors or to product wherein it would not make sense to show a woman. But if we were telling stories, we were making investments for everything that we do. We said we're putting women front and center, and we did it. And it was not easy. Like if you're in an organization, you can imagine what it would take to do that. We didn't even have the imagery. Like when we went to actually just get started, we couldn't even find the representations of women in the outdoors that we wanted to find. This also included a total takeover of our social channels. So if you were with us on that journey, we are very proud of it, and we had great response from men and women. We tracked all along, what was positive and where it fell down, and it was very well received. We talk about this as an overcorrection, such that we could never go back to a point in time where men became the default for the outdoors. And what we found were incredible, powerful stories. We created images. We took the force of nature kind of representation from very little usage to in the hundreds of thousands. So the total takeover was critical to this effort. So extended sizes, right? We knew this would be a conversation because we had done our homework. We didn't quite know the volume or the passion, but we found out very quickly. And oh, by the way, it's not just about size, because that would be too simple. I want to show some humility here and share what I'm talking as real talk. This was just a small example. Things like, so y'all are selling proper plus sizes now, or is this just a ploy to make it seem like you're down with fat bodies and capitalize on fat positivity, all while perpetuating the idea that those who don't fit the XS to XL mold don't deserve athletic wear? Or, as soon as you carry outdoor activewear in my size, tall and fat, thanks, I'll be with you. Or, hey, REI, how about helping the plus size people that like to be active by actually selling the clothes in the store? The pick is an awesome start, and you would be the only athletic store I know of to sell plus size clothing. That's a nice part of the market. Our consumers told us, women told us very loudly and clearly they were unhappy, happy that we were representing women, unhappy that we weren't outfitting them. And we said, we hear you. But I want to pause and say this isn't just about technically sizing people right. This is an intersection of a conversation about great design, gear that you can wear outside, and the body positivity movement. And this is what makes it different than, say, men's tall pants, which if you draw a Venn diagram of designing, there would be an overlap. But the body positivity movement is a specific thing. And so I just wanted to share how we think about it. So I'm going to read it here for those of you that might not be able to see it. But body positivity is unlearning the idea that only certain bodies are worth acceptance and praise, and instead recognizing that all bodies are equally valuable. It's deciding what feels good and healthy for you personally and letting people do the same for themselves. And it's understanding you deserve to live in your body without receiving the prejudice of others and working toward a world where no one's body is the target of such bias. And body positivity is not just about plus sizes. Body positivity is also about accessibility. It's about gender nonconformity. It's about all the kinds of things in intersection. But today we're really going to draw down and talk about sizing, because it's something very specifically that we heard about. We, as part of Force of Nature, did a lot of partnerships with women who are at this intersection of size and body positivity. So Jenny from Unlikely Hikers, Myrna Valerio, the Myrnavator, which, yeah, I know, I love all the love. It's great. Fat Girls Hiking. Body positivity and size has come to a conversation to the outdoor industry. It's already here. And this consumer has a very robust community, growing online presence, and wants to buy and be outfitted, right? So there's really a groundswell and a moment in time for us to act. REI has developed our own voice in this space. We dug in and actually did a lot of brand work about how do we want to talk about this. We're going to hear a little bit more. We talk about less labels and more sizes, and what does that mean? But we also really leaned into the conversation. We did not run from the criticism. We did a lot of content on our own co-op journal around sizing. We said, we hear you. We talked to people that are designing. We talked to people who are voicing concerns. We did some live social media with people in this conversation. It's not something to back away from. We think there's real opportunity in it. A couple of facts. 67% of American women are plus size, considered size 14 or larger. Yet plus size women account for on average 1 to 2% of the bodies represented in mainstream media, and the category represents less than 20 of apparel sales. You could imagine adjusting these numbers for the outdoors, but there is a big disconnect between reality, who we show, and who we outfit. Considered to be any size from 14 up, plus size was a $21.4 billion business in 2016 compared to $17 billion in 2013. So as a category, this is growing and it represents an opportunity for our business. So with that, I'm going to turn to the panel discussion. I'm so excited. Andrea Kelly is from Columbia, immediately to my left here. Ellen Krimmel is from prAna. And Michele Orr representing REI Co-op here. So thank you. And I want to start just by thanking you as brands for stepping into this space with us and into this conversation. It is a work in progress for all of us. And so we're hoping that this is just the start of a conversation, and we will leave time for question and answers. So rest assured someone's going to like blow a whistle at me or something. I wonder if we could just start maybe, obviously we have your titles here, but if you could just say what is your day job, and what is the relationship of the work that you do in your organization to extended sizing? Yeah.
I'll start. So I'm the product line manager at Columbia. I manage our good level, entry level outerwear for both men and women. I also manage our outdoor glove product for ski, and manage both the men's and women's big and tall and plus product lines for the brand.
And I'm Ellen.
Are we too close to each other? Fine. Okay.
Try that again. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, it's in your scarf.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Okay. There we go. Maybe that's better. I'll hold it here. So I'm at prAna. I head up product design and merchandising. And in terms of the involvement, or actually what I do day to day in terms of as it relates to extended sizes, it's really looking at our product offer and trying to align our product offer to optimize our consumer experience. And so when we're really digging into who our consumer is and trying to match the product that will be relevant for them, we are starting to expand and see that there's opportunity in these additional size ranges.
Michele?
And I'm Michele Orr. I'm the GMM for apparel at REI, and my responsibility and my team is to choose the right products to meet our customers' outfitting needs for men, women, kids, in sportswear, outerwear, and active. So where this, that's my day job, as you asked, and really where plus size or extended size comes in, we work on strategy and what's our forward strategy to meet our customer needs where they're asking to be met. And so plus size is really a conversation we have, and extended size every day. And I'd say, we're on a journey, and it's a main topic for us.
Maybe we can just work our way back here, and if you could say what it is that REI Co-op or prAna Columbia offers in extended sizing. What's your current offering?
Yeah. So, we started on...
Can I pause for just a second? Michele, can you guys
not-
hear? No, we can't hear. So I wonder if we can go louder or get handhelds, because there's some feedback.
Can you guys hear now?
No. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Can we pass it so we turn off their...
You can hear me now. So, we started, Columbia is really on the forefront of this journey and this business, and we started carrying Columbia. We've carried Columbia over years in some of our best-selling pant programs, and it was really 2 years ago that we recognized through customer feedback that, and also some strategy work and understanding the business opportunity with the real population out there, that there was an opportunity to work more closely with some of our key brands, prAna, of course, Ellen, and we've been on this journey together, and Cool is another one of our partners, and our own REI co-op brand, to create a more robust program because we weren't meeting her where she was asking to be met. So as of today, I'm proud to say that starting at the end of this month, February, I'll leap us into February. At the end of February, we'll have a really nice, robust line of products from our own brand, from prAna, from Cool, Columbia, that will really outfit women for yoga, hiking, walking, some of the key activities that they participate in. So we have gone from, we'll be almost double where we have been as of spring 18.
Yeah, so as Michele mentioned, prAna, we are a little bit in the infancy of this journey. We have been in extended inseam offers since 2013, and we've seen a really positive response to that, outfitting customers that are short or tall. And so we are making our first inaugural launch into the extended sizes for spring 18. We'll be delivering product to the retail stores and specifically to support REI's effort around servicing their customers for spring shortly here in a couple of weeks. Lest the product gets to the stores on time, which is always a challenge. But we're really, really excited to go on that journey with REI to be more relevant to a broader base of consumers who we do know. We hear about, hey, we love the outdoors. We have people at prAna that have been asking for these sizes for years. So we're really excited about it. I'm sure we're going to learn a lot. We may make some mistakes, along the way, but we're not going to give up, and we hope to continue the journey forward and maybe catch up to Columbia.
Yeah.
So much pressure. And I'll say, the reason they keep saying catch up is we've been doing it far longer than I ever imagined. I started working on the Plus line in fall 15, which would put the fall 17 product that's in stores now when I first got my hands on it. But I looked back, and Columbia as a brand has actually been offering plus size and big and tall product for 19 years.
Wow.
It was small. I don't say we were the best at it 19 years ago, but we've taken the journey and evolved, and it's definitely grown over that time. That's actually part of the reason I came to work for the brand. I've been in the industry for 15 years, and I'm tired of wearing boys' pants on the mountain.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I've had this opportunity with our brand, and that our brand is aware and willing. It doesn't hurt that we're driven by a very strong-willed woman at the helm of the company. So there's a lot of support there too. But as far as the offering that we have, that has definitely grown, as I've said. Most of you know the brand. We carry lifestyle product, we carry performance product for the trail, for the mountain, you name it. We carry fishing gear for men and women. So what we're seeing is, while we continue to offer that breadth of product, we're offering more selection in that breadth of product. So whether she's out with her friends, or he's doing a backpacking trip, or they're going on a family fishing trip, they should be able to wear what everybody else on the boat is wearing. So diverse offering from our product with everything that we carry in the building.
I wonder, Ellen and Michele, if you could address maybe some of the challenges. So REI might be a little bit further along, prAna is starting out. If this were probably easy, everyone would be doing it. And so getting started presents some unique challenges. And so if we could share those, that would be great.
It's up to you.
Okay, well, there are, as you guys can imagine, there are innumerable challenges. I think the first one is obviously starts with the product. I think the big challenge is educating ourselves really about the consumer, the body type, the proportions that are involved in outfitting and sizing someone in a different way than you've been traditionally trained to size. It's really relearning everything. So it's not something that you just do in a week and decide, hey, we're going to do this. It's a lot of research. It's really looking at your consumer segment, looking at your customers, getting feedback specifically from them on how they like the product to fit. It's searching for a fit model, a live fit model. So when you're developing your patterns, you have a real body that can give you feedback. It's not enough just to fit it on a form that's plus sized. You have to have the feedback. So that also takes time. So really educating your whole product team around that. Finding a vendor that has the capacity to manufacture the product for you. And then, really in terms of bringing that product to market, there's all sorts of challenges around the cost implications. Your fabric yields obviously are going up. We at prAna made a choice not to compromise fabric quality. We want to give the same product and the same design details and the same attention to that product for those extended sizes. And so that means not cutting corners on the fabric quality. And the materials that go into the product. But then it's about, asking ourselves, well, where are we on pricing? What does this customer expect to pay for the product? To get into it, really, we just made a decision that we're not going to charge a customer more for a plus size product. We're going to go out with parity on pricing because we believe that's the right thing to do. So product, pricing strategy, marketing, really bringing it to life in your stores. How are we depicting it on our catalog? What types of images are we going to be providing for the customer? And then really the big challenge is getting the whole rest of the organization aligned with where we want to go, and then also training them on how to support us and the end consumer at the end of the day. So it's really like launching a brand new product category. And all those touch points that you guys certainly may deal with on a daily basis, it's doing that and more because it's not a core competency yet. So anyway, it's a big project, but well worth it, I think.
Can you, maybe folks know or maybe they don't, that price parity is actually a pretty innovative thing. So plus sizes, typically in apparel, people pay more. So it's talked about as a tax actually to product. And brands are trying to eliminate that cost difference tax, but because of the specificity of the product, many brands have to charge more to make margin. And so that's one of the complexities of this space.
Yeah, and I applaud prAna for one same price. REI brand is doing the same thing, and we think it's the right thing to do. So we're very happy to go out that way. And directly to your question of what are the specific challenges, I'd bucket it into three things. One is the business case, because there's the reality of making money and being profitable, and product, and then the experience. So from a business case perspective, I shared with you guys that our journey started looking at the opportunity of 67% of the population is over size 14. You know automatically that there's, and you're not doing the business, there's an opportunity. But it is a journey and a leap of faith. You start with, we want to have not the biggest assortment, we want to have the right assortment. And so we're going to put the right assortment out there with the faith that the sales will come. So you have to have some patience on that end and make the case to your company. And then in terms of product for us as a retailer, we identified the opportunity. It took us about 2 full years to work with brands, to work with our own brand, to create a full assortment that we feel like is, and again, it's not the assortment because it's a journey and we're going to learn, but that we felt we could go out.
just to make sure everyone's awake.
to meet her needs. And I didn't comment earlier, but in terms of outfitting for activities, we're excited that we also have technical product. For women, we'll have Gore-Tex options as well. So that's a big deal and not an easy thing to accomplish, right? And then the last one is the experience. You know, we've heard from women that some women are in the camp of, I want to have a separate experience because I want to be able to find it and shop it easily. And then many women prefer to not be, they don't want to stand out and they want to have the same shopping experience as everyone else. So we are noodling through that today as we speak. And we want to do the right thing, but we also want to make it easy to find.
Great. Did you want to address, I mean, you guys are, yeah.
All
okay.
on board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe,
All of the above.
Yeah, all of the above. Maybe I'll hand it back to you now,
Sure.
Andrea, and talk about just why now. Does this conversation feel different for Columbia now? There is a moment in time, and I'm also interested from prAna and REI why an acceleration now? Sure.
So I'm going to touch back on the stats that you gave of the 67%. I mentioned Columbia's been doing this for quite some time, but at a very small pace. And much like everybody else in the industry, when they saw the stats of the 67% of women that had been underserviced, that's not a little amount. That's the majority by like a lot, right? So working for this brand that carries plus size product, thought, okay, so if 67% of women are wearing a 14 and up, 67% of our product line should be in her size, right? Wasn't even close. We were at 17%, which means the majority of women have very little option to choose what suits them. They are being given a palette of this is what's available and this is what you get, and they don't have choice. They can't pick what suits their personality, what suits their needs. So that number that came out in 2015 was a big eye-opener to me, to the brand. I myself obviously am that consumer, so I've been living that experience of not having accessibility, wearing men's product, feeling left out, underserviced. So I've got a lot of personal stories behind that I could share with you as well, but I won't. So there was definitely a big opportunity to turn up the heat with that percent of population that had now become very, very public. Also in that time frame, I don't know if it just happened to coincide, but elections were happening, the dynamic in the world was changing, women were starting to find a voice. I'm not going to get real political, but women started to speak up for what was important to them. So those 67% of women started getting pissed off, right? So that's why you're hearing the comments that we saw up here about what about us? What about us? What about us? So there was a change in the environment. You started seeing Ashley Graham on the cover of Swimsuit magazine for Sports Illustrated, first plus-size model ever. Melissa McCarthy started making her own brand because she couldn't find what she wanted. So these voices were getting louder, and women were taking motion and taking initiative. So the timing was perfect. That was enough to get it going. But what really, really got me going is I actually had a chance to see what the future could be if we did it right. I had a market trip in Europe and did some shopping with some friends and walked into a plus-size department in a department store, which was like nothing I'd ever seen before. They had everything. There was no, you don't get a choice. There was Mother of the Bride stuff, there was bedazzled jeans, there was sequin, there was everything. And the experience that I had shopping there, where I had a diverse amount of product to choose from what suited me, changed everything. I walked out of the fitting room feeling like $1 million, which I had never felt like before. And I came back and thought there's no reason that every woman shouldn't get to feel this way. So I went and pitched it to the executive staff, and they said, go do it. Well, they said, on top of your workload with no budget and no head count, go do it. So that's what we've done. So that is happening now in fall 17, and I'll tell you, when I got dressed today and I put on head to toe Columbia, I had that same feeling again.
Yeah.
And it was pretty great to have that feeling of my brand, that we're really doing it right, and letting her choose what suits her and what she needs instead of being told what she can have.
Thank you. Either of you want to speak right now? Yeah.
Yeah, so at REI we say the outdoors is for all. So it's our responsibility to make sure that we can outfit for all. So that's one piece of it. Emotion absolutely plays into it. We were really fueled this summer when we heard back from one of our stores, our retail directors, that a woman came in to get outfitted and that we were able to offer her an assortment, and she broke out in tears. And so that makes me actually feel emotional right now, but she broke out in tears. She was so happy that she could actually shop in the women's department. So that actually gave us a lot of energy to re-look at our assortment and think about it even more deeply. And then, so those are probably two key reasons.
Yeah, and I think for prAna, we had actually contemplated moving into plus sizes, for probably a couple of years, and I think the challenges that I alluded to were always just, wow, we've already got a lot on our plate trying to bring a great product line to market, and so this was another thing that if we decided to do it, we'd really have to invest time and energy into it, and so it was kind of, we were sitting on the fence a little bit there for a while, and really what accelerated it for sure was, the voices were getting louder. We were getting many more comments from our consumers. We were getting many more comments from our internal employees that we're starting to see other brands serve their needs and asking, why not prAna? Come on. And so with the support of REI, that we just finally just took the plunge and said, why are we waiting? It was sort of the duh moment, like, we just have to do it. So no more talking, let's just go, and we'll see where it takes us. It's taking that first step and making that commitment, and once we did that, it was pretty amazing actually how people started to get excited, even the momentum. We've got really good momentum now. So I think, yes, voices for women are getting louder. Certainly the opportunity, we see the demographics. We know there's an opportunity there that can be, we can turn it into a viable financial opportunity for companies. But not only that, it just feels good to be doing the right thing and taking that first step and jumping off that diving board. It is the right thing to do.
I'm gonna, Andrew, if you could take it, I'm gonna ask you to share a comment from a customer that you shared with me, and then I'm gonna open it up to the audience. Do you mind?
Yeah, certainly. So one of the things that's been really rewarding is being able to offer this type of product and hearing feedback from our consumer. And I see it on our websites, thanks for helping me out, or I finally found something. And I received an email that I got from our marketing team in Canada, who forwarded an email on to me from a customer, and I wanted to share I won't share the whole email, but I can tell you that she's in her mid-20s, she lives in Alberta, she's very active, she snowshoes, she cycles, she's your consumer, she's my consumer, she's all of us, right? But she was running into the same issue where she wanted to get outdoors, she wanted to start taking snowboard lessons or skiing lessons, and couldn't find pants that fit. And she had been wearing men's pants, or she thought maybe she'd make her own, just didn't have the options she wanted. And she ended up finding in some clearance store, on a whim, a size 3X in a Columbia pant. Didn't even know we made them. She tried them on, they were too big, they weren't for her. Off away she went, disappointed, usual. But after a while she had remembered that Columbia offered plus sizes, and she went to the website and found a pair of pants online and decided to order them. Online shopping for us is lots of fun. We usually buy it in 3 sizes and send 2 back because we never know how they're going to fit. So I just want to read you a portion of this email for you to get a sense of this consumer. I took a risk and ordered a pair, which promptly arrived on my doorstep a few weeks later. By the way, shipping in Canada is not great. Just so you know. Not from us, just in general, I'm saying. Feeling skeptical, I pulled them out of the package and pulled them on. As I buttoned them around my waist, realizing they fit almost perfectly, I started to cry. After 3 years, I had finally found a pair of snow pants to wear. So I've written this letter to thank you. Thank you for realizing that there are women out there who love being active, but who aren't a size 2. Women who have curvy thighs, stomachs, and butts, but who ski, snowboard, and adventure with the best of them. Women frustrated that even though size 14 and above is considered plus size by clothing companies, our sisters, mothers, aunts, cousins, and friends express the same trouble finding clothing, especially activewear, that fits real women's bodies. Thank you for recognizing that needing a few extra inches of fabric around my thighs doesn't mean I shouldn't have the gear I need to live an active, healthy, fulfilling life. Please continue making a wide range of sizes, and maybe one day it will be easier to find them in stores. Keep up the great work. Your proud Columbia customer, prAna.
Yay. Thanks for sharing it. Andrea sent that to me, and I said, we have to share that. We hear similar things. A lot of loyalty from customers when you can respond. So I would love to open it up for questions. We have a mic here. Oh, right here in the middle.
Hi, this is for Andrea. I'm Susan, I'm with REI. And REI got a false start a few years ago when we started extended sizes. And we made the mistake of extending the XL with the same proportions up. And we got immediate feedback that that doesn't fit. So there might be a lot of developers or designers here in the audience. Can you tell them what the right resource is in order to make sure that they get plus sizes to fit right?
Yep. So when I mentioned that we've been doing this for a long time, when we started doing plus sizes, we were grading up from a medium. We've learned a lot more. It doesn't really work that way because body shapes are so different. You ladies touched on that too. We start from a 1X. We actually have our own block, our own spec, our own mannequins for plus size. So we're not grading up from the base. We take some cues from it. We don't change leg openings because nobody's ankles massively grade from a medium. But we have worked with ASTM in the past. We work with Alvanon, and they're a wealth of information about size curves and populations, and that's what we've built our product around. But identifying a true block and a true fit for this consumer is key, rather than grading from a regular medium or a 6-8.
Thank you.
Good question.
Does this work? I'm Tracy Cottingham, and to thank you all, I started the Columbia extended sizing. Let's get together on the history. It's about 26 years.
26. Wow.
Yeah, and it was to help my family. And while you were speaking, I was texting my sister to tell her what you were saying, all of you, that she may be able to shop in the store at REI. And to honor my sister, she is the head of Washington State's Outdoor Recreation Coalition. And Andrea, she is larger than you. At Christmas, I took a jacket that no longer fits her. She brought it to me. I slashed it up and said, I'm gonna make this fit you. But I just wanna thank you. And I haven't gotten a response from her yet, but I know that I'm happy for all of you, for all of us, that we can be here today with this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. We have some up front. You come here, and then we'll go there.
Hi. I was just curious to know, with 17% of Columbia, approximately, like what is the choice now for women in extended sizing?
Well, according to that man over there who had my hands tied, there's a lot of arm wrestling in the building. When I looked at the 17%, so that was based on the global offering that we sell throughout the world. Fall 17 was the first season that I got my hands on, and I was able to get the global offering to represent 40% of the line. I think in the US it's 30%, but that's still double. Men's was at 25%, and I've been eking them up to about that 42.
And have you seen the sales grow in proportion to what the 67% or where plus size market is relative to the apparel market?
It's early because it's in store now, so
Yeah,
we
fair.
have bookings, but I haven't seen sell-through. But there has definitely been increases in sell-through as well as sell-in, as well as interest from
the retailers that we work with as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing everything. This has been amazing. And we purposely came for this. So I'm with R Sport. I'm the CEO, and all we do is plus size activewear, performance activewear. And I was also an adjunct professor at Colorado State University in design and merchandising. And what you just shared about Alvanon and ASTM standards, super helpful. But I also want to add one more, CDC data. So if you can triangulate all three, it really helps you make sure, especially with demographic information as well. Alvanon was probably the best, but those are huge. We go up to 6x, and I think one of the struggles, you mentioned it, REI, is knowing your merchandise plan. We've always purchased on history, and we have no history here. So you're making an assumption.
Chicken and egg.
It
Totally.
is. You know, what comes first? At the same time, we've talked about how do you find this woman? I'm like, how do we find her? She's more than the average population. She's 67%. So if you aren't one, you know one. You know, all of these are our friends and they want to get out with us, and this is the easiest way to do it, is to find those partners who are willing to help build products. So thank you, and thank you. It's been great. I would also add too, just for those who are thinking about doing it from the research side, because this is what my master's was based on, the plus size woman, we call her an Athena because that's the racing category for triathlon. That consumer actually spends $25 to $50 more per average transaction because she can't find. Not because she's just buying 3 to get it and then return to, but she will keep more than her straight size counterpart because there's so much more already offered to her. So anyway, bravo, bravo.
Agreed.
Thank you. We have 2 on the side.
Hi, I'm Chris with Walk to Connect Co-op. So yay to co-ops, so shout out to REI. We have about 5,000 members, of which 67% are your customer base. And a lot of them are 55 and older. And one of the things, I walk with these people all over Denver. We do thousands of miles a year. And what I hear all the time is dexterity issues on zippers and buttons and enclosures and things. I'm wondering if you guys can address that, please.
Fine. Dexterity issues was the question.
know.
We hear a lot about pockets. Someone give a shout out to pockets. We get loads of feedback about pockets. And I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on dexterity issues. Our designers aren't here. Or maybe they are. I'm looking.
No, I think it's a great call out.
Yeah.
I just was on, looking at the blog and reading a lot of comments from our Forces of Nature campaign, which is great. And I haven't picked up on that, but I'm glad you called it out because I think it's something for us to be aware of.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then
Hi.
Hi.
It's amazing how political a consumer product can be, and I'm wondering how each of you have taken a look at how to manage any sort of negative response that comes to launching these types of products.
Like
Sorry.
negative.
I didn't fully hear you.
So I'll repeat the question for you. It's amazing how political consumer products can be, and can you address negative comments that have potentially come from the launch of these products? Correct? More or less?
Yeah.
So I'd say we haven't had any negative comments about the launch. The feedback that we get is that people want more and that they expect more, and so that's what we're operating from.
I'll say on the marketing side, like not product specific, but we had a lot of influencers that we worked with who represented this customer, and there is definitely a faction of people who don't want to see her, like who will say mean and ugly things in feeds and social if we're showing films or just images like that first one I had of a woman doing a yoga pose, and a lot of indictment of she couldn't possibly legitimately be an outdoors woman. And what we found is that the community really takes care of that conversation itself pretty quickly. We have a policy, if people get into name calling, it's like in our stores is how we handle it online, and that's something we would remove. But if they're just being ignorant, we find that the community really rallies to address that, and I don't know if that's something that you've seen.
Yeah, we've seen absolutely no negative I mean, we haven't officially launched yet, but just in terms of the reception that we've gotten across our company, and certainly from some of our key accounts and dealers that know that the product line is coming, everyone's thrilled. So, yeah, all good.
Yeah.
Well, and I've heard it throughout the building. I've seen it online. Even those that aren't in the 67% are excited that we're actually including the 67%. And I guess I've got a 12-year-old, so I think about bullying a lot, and I think, you know what? Even if they're talking smack, that 67% is the majority.
Yeah.
Let them talk.
Yeah.
You know, so.
One over here.
Hi, my name is Marinol. I actually teach women how to backpack and hike. So I actually have to say, from Washington, D.C. area, I have to say a lot of my students do fit that 67%. And what I would love to see, because I make recommendations on brands a lot, I love the fact that prAna, REI, Columbia have gotten together to promote this and to create products. But I also want to see more brands to join in. Is there anything from your end that's happening to create a bigger group of brands to join in the coalition? Because one thing I also realize is people have different budgets. Yes. And women do need the options. So they should be able to not just have 3 brands, but actually much, much more. So I like the fact that this is a start, but I hate to be in front of my class just to tell them 3 brands.
Yes.
It's good, but then again, it's bad because it's almost like, seriously, it's just 3 brands. So I just want to know what efforts are being made to encourage other brands to follow your suit and your model of a new kind of marketing. The other thing is, I just wanted to say that one other thing I'm concerned about is I'm hoping this is not just a marketing thing because, as you said, 67% of the consumers fit this product, right? So what if that momentum changes and you only get 30%? Is this a commitment such as doing the right thing, or is this just a marketing? Because it is common as well. I actually have a business of my own, so I understand the concept. So probably a couple of questions I have.
Maybe I'll take your latter question and give the first question to you, Michele.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm on, but I'm very loud anyway. I am on? Okay. It can't work if it's just a marketing thing. And we talk a lot about part of the complexity is it's holistic because it's everything from how we represent the brand all the time. Like in a photo shoot, which is not about selling extended size pants, like how does it show up in our storytelling, in our influencer work, in the voice, look, feel of the brand, as well as product, as well as partnerships. So I know for us, it is a very holistic and connected effort. Yeah. And Michele, maybe you can speak to, I know that these aren't the only brands. Yeah. This panel is not to say there aren't other brands actually doing great work.
Yeah, yeah.
No, and I appreciate your comment about...
Yeah. It's on this, yeah, they'll get it on over here.
Okay.
Try again. Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate your comment about, again, it goes back to for all, right? I think your point is that it's not everyone has the means to spend on premium brands. So I actually am going to take that back. We are looking as a apparel merchandising team, we look at good, better, best. And so, you know, in our own brand, we tend to be in the good, better arena, and we are looking at more brands and having conversations with them as well. Currently, we have product from Cool, and we have product from prAna and Columbia, our own brand. We have cycling apparel from Terry and She Beast, and we are addressing also footwear and wide sizes and things like that. So we're, like I said earlier, we're on a journey, and we really appreciate feedback such as your comment, because that helps us, you know, take a step back and think even more deeply about where we're headed. So there are other brands. I love that you're in DC because we have the product in our DC store. So check it out. Wait until February and then give me some feedback and let us know how we're doing.
Thank you. We're going to take one last question over here, and then because I know people will be needing to get to their 11 o'clocks, and our panelists will be here for a couple of minutes while everyone makes their mad dash.
I'm Sarah. I'm also with our sport, and I wanted to touch base a little bit on the marketing side. So our brand really prides ourselves on inclusiveness and community. And Andrea, to your point, when you read that, we're serving real women. And we've seen sometimes using the term plus size or extended sizes isn't really the best way to foster that community, because it's really for real women. And I was just wondering how each one of you guys has, faced that challenge, and what have you found works best for you?
Well, I'll just say for REI, we don't use extended and plus. We talk about and even on our website, less labels, more sizes is how you'll find it. But the reality is that the search behavior and the way women search is extended and plus. And so there is a need to both keep that and expand the way that we talk about it. So we're a little bit in between the what's the brand positioning, and then what's the consumer behavior, which is still driving a certain, again, chicken and egg, how you find the product that you want.
And I'll tiptoe, because marketing is not my, it's not my cup, it's not my jam. But it's tricky, and much like we were talking about, where do you even put the product on the floor? Does it live in a plus department, or does it get integrated with everything? It depends on the retailer. If they don't have a plus section, it has to be integrated anyway. But as a plus size consumer, sometimes I can tell you it's way easier to click the plus sizes on the website and get to the stuff that I have accessible to me, instead of being disappointed scrolling through. So to your point, searching is key, and that's the language that she speaks. Lots of brands are calling it lots of different things. If you call it inclusive sizes, that's tricky, because we're not reveling in petite yet. We haven't gone there. So by saying we're inclusive, that that kind of hangs you out to dry. So it's tricky. I'm grateful that we have a marketing team that's going to figure out how to navigate that. But yeah, it's and again, this, you keep saying it's a journey. It's a work in progress, and it continues to evolve. And more the consumers and the brands learn more about each other, it'll sort of find its path. Did you want to add, please?
I would ask that you all join me in thanking our panelists, and thank you for coming. It's been great.